Hey, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to go over the wing again and setting up the LaZer, how I did it so that I think that I could trust the thing. And you know those levels, the digital levels, for some reason, they just have a hard time repeating. This worked really well, so I'll show you what I did. And at the end of the video, we're going to show how I have full access to drill out the rear spar and attaching it to the fuselage with an access panel. Actually, it's more than a panel. Stick around. This is what I've come up with. I really like the idea of putting the pitot lines through that hole with just rivets, so adding a bracket was great. And then, of course, I wish I could do everything with the L clamps, but that holds them nice and secure. I put the standoffs on just to hope that the shielding will work even better for that pulsing light on the other end. Made a bracket there where these transitioned in. Wanted to secure that, and then worked my way down with these. These are rubbing, they wanted to come up, so these don't weigh anything, so I threw them on. And the pitot lines are all attached, and then through these brackets, the gas line's gonna come out here, go into here, to here, and up into the vehicle, and then this too, into the fuselage. So that's where we're at right now. This is what I'm using for matching the front spar, main spar to the rear spar this time. I wish I would have had this when I was doing the tail, but I didn't. So seen these online, and I didn't want to spend over $100. So I've got to test it and just make sure that when I put this on the front spar and then rotate this down, then rotate this down to the rear spar, that it's repeatable, that it doesn't, like when it's self-leveling, be a millimeter off. So I'm going to repeat that over and over until I'm, secure with it. And we're going to use that for this time, if it tests out okay. This is how I'm going to do the verification process. Where it locks, if you can see that, here, I'll shut this off while I tape this. You want this as close as possible, I think, to the center. So where you lock it is where it always brings it back to center. So I'm going to calibrate my tripod to the locked position and raise and lower leg until I get it really close to my main beam, because that is really level. It's off just a hair, but enough for calibrating this. And it blinks well every 3 to 5 seconds to let you know that it's in the locked position. When it's in the self-leveling position, it doesn't. So now that I've got it level and level this way, up and down, I can see this is level. Now I'm going to unlock it, let it self-level, then I'll be able to crank it down until it barely hits the main beam on both ends. I really like this. Okay, it's lost its view on the wall over there, but it's still on the wall over there. Wish I could show you both. But I'm going to go down until I'm losing it on that wall and just lost it there. Snug this, and I can see what the difference is by just looking at here. Oh, I can push down, I can just put a little pressure with my thumb on there and it hits the wall. I'll look over here, and it is also with a little pressure hitting the wall. So that wing is really level as far as the main spar. Now, this is the tricky part. You got to trust this. You got to unlock it, and you got to just slowly lower it. I don't want to wiggle it very much until it hits the center. Then we'll know what to do in the center or the other ends. That looks from here to be right about in the middle of the rivet. Now, to me, to level it, just tap it. It just keeps going back to the same spot. So yeah, that's the same spot. So a close-up here, it's right in the middle of the rivet. Down here, it's at the top of the rivet, top half of the rivet, and down here, it's at the bottom half of the rivet. So there is twist. And I'll shim that out and we'll go from there. But right now, I'm gonna go back in and start putting in my center bracing. I thought I'd just show you a minute what I think a good way to calibrate these, make sure they're working properly off the locked position. Well, I've double and triple checked that it is square and level, and started drilling and measured, made sure that the line, it's actually in just a hair, the holes are just a hair this side of my center line, so it's in the stronger part of the angle. But I can't change that anyway because this is all clecoed up. I've got to buy some more clecos because I like using a lot of them. And to put black down the center, I would have to take a whole bunch of these out, and I don't want to do that. So back to Amazon. And yeah, it was it's nerve-wracking to start in the center there and work my way out. There was one hole right here, and it was off just a hair from the rib, because that rim had to get put underneath, and I drilled up through. I probably, well, yeah, that did work good. I drilled up through, and then I drilled a really small hole here of this, the 3/32, and could see it, and filed it out as much as I could to get to it where it was exactly. And now we're up and running. Rinse and repeat. I think I'll stop there and then check for level again. Boy, that might be a 0.5 millimeter difference from end to end. Right on the money. Well, I better go in and order those other clecos. The next thing you'll see is opening it up and seeing if our line is hopefully right in the center, right down the line. Step one, done. The only thing I got to say is that maybe the straps aren't necessary. They're written in there when in the book because you got to drill these. But once it does help get these clecoed in, but you can kind of relieve the pressure and double check everything once you're all clecoed in, because it's nice and tight without this, so you don't need to hold it into a certain distance like you do when you're drilling them all. So the other thing, mark I'm gonna figure out which one it is down there and tell you again later in the video. But when you go through, you hit that little bolt here, and there's one way up in here somewhere that I felt hit that bolt. So I'll probably have to replace those two. And when you're doing your skin, just make a mark on your skins where that bolt is so that you can set your drill super shallow. I think this is probably overkill, but I took the skin back off. So before I upsized to black and wanted to check, and they're all exactly the same on the center line. They're just a hair forward on the center line, which gets you into the meatier part instead of out here on the edge, which doesn't bother me in the least. But I was right that this has to be replaced. It's got a nice drill mark in it. See if I can zoom in. Yeah, it's got a nice drill mark. It's funny I didn't feel that soon enough. And this little, and the first one that we put in, number 3, is got a nice drill mark in it. But my reason for doing this is I couldn't change much, but I did want to get that positive input, and the majority of the reason was there was this sat up when I was drilling it. There was so much debris under it, it wasn't setting down good when I clecoed it. So I'm gonna try cleaning it out and putting the skin back on. First, I'm gonna level the whole skeleton again, double check everything. And like I said, not gonna take anything for granted. And then put the skins back on after I get it nice and level with the LaZer here, which I totally recommend still. Probably said that earlier, but I say it again. Set that baby up, and it is remarkable how much better it is than a level. As you can see, they're slightly forward of the mark that was centered. And as you can see, these are almost exactly the same. So the bow in the center was corrected by putting the skins on and keeping it straight. This one too, the centers. Now I didn't mark the one in the back because it didn't really matter. But I did when I put these on, originally put the skins on, the rear skins, the middle skins. I wanted to see where them lined up. That's why I put a center line on there, and it was even all the way down. So I was really happy with that. Now that it's all clean, it isn't deburred, but it's clean. It had piles. I should have probably took a close-up of that. It had piles of aluminum shavings in there. And now it'll cleco up nice and tight. But I like this piece of foam on here. It lays on the bottom of that, where I have to bow this way out. It lays on the bottom of the back skin. And my dad was in the Korean War, and he brought home this little tripod, which I lost one of the legs. That's probably why he always didn't want me playing with it as a kid. But anyway, he died in 18, and I put that little thing on there that holds my camera, and it makes a pretty good selfie stick. I don't think he ever used it. Well, he used it over there when he was in the war, because he took a lot of black and white pictures that we've got of them in bivouac and all that. But now we're going to use it for a selfie stick. So I'm glad I got it, because now, of course, this is being used up by my trusty little LaZer there. So we'll see how it works. All right, there it is. It works. Probably can't hear me as good because I don't have a mic on, but anyway, that's why I did all this. And I hope that anybody that's kind of questioning what they're doing, this helps. That'll be great. I'm always questioning what I'm doing. We had a great weekend this weekend. I went down to the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo, and that is just the greatest little aviation museum. It's a gem. Took the grandkids there, Connor and Riley. Connor's 13 now. He's going to be 14 soon. How did that happen? And Riley is just, I'll put some photos in there. Riley's just a sweetheart, and we had a ball too. And she loves airplanes too. Connor wants to fly jets when he grows up, so I'm hoping around to see that. And yeah, we'll get back in. I'll put the skins back on. And that is the reason for all this nonsense. One sore hand and a bunch of Clecos later, we've got her drilled up. Now time to get on to the next step. On the bottom where it's hard to get at these, to get this to slide in, I put a plain card in there and it causes a ramp so you can slide it right in, except the rest of it has to be started. But this is going in the bottom. I can do the top easy. Easier. Like that. I've been contemplating for a long time how I was going to drill the end of the wing, and some people leave these off. Well, I had to make a door at minimum, and maximum, I'm gonna cut the whole end off. I'm gonna make a little bracket underneath to rivet it to, because I want to have this rear edge, because I want this rear panel to be completely riveted on when I mount the wings. So this is just going to become an end access panel, top and bottom, not just the top. I'll be able to access it from the bottom too. And basically, I'm gonna, once I put it back on, I'm going to rivet it on. So, because you're not gonna access it very often, and if you had to, you just drill out this row of rivets and this and the ones underneath. And then this whole end will pop off. And the reason I'm cutting it with a razor blade, because I want minimal amount of material taken out of here. So I'm just gonna take my time and I just keep scoring it. And we'll see how it comes out. And the holes don't match up on the back side, and I wanted to go right between two holes, but then the edge distance on this one hole was getting a little close, so I wanted a good 10 millimeters edge distance. So I'm not quite in the center. I'm a little off center this way on this side, and a little off center this way on this side, which will make it much better for edge distance. Yay. Well, that's prototype one. It's put back on, and I'm gonna make a piece that goes behind this. Of course, it'll lay underneath this and this piece here. So, but they do that on the plane in a lot of places. So, and the seam is here, and I'm going to divide it up with that many rivets, A4s, and that bracket will stay attached to this. And that's it. This piece is going to overlap it. And if I did put that underneath there, overlapping this would help hide the two little humps where it slides down here, back down. I think I'm going to make it first with this. And if I don't like the way it fits up and it's just too bulky, but then it'll actually support those two. Yeah, that's the thing. I want the support more than looks. It's going to be with this underneath, and this will help it look better. It'll cause a little bump in here. Well, let's just make it and see. Card trick. Well, it fits in there really good. I'm gonna have to trim that a little bit, and I marked this one where I can trim it a little bit, and the full piece is in there, so I can trim that all back. But right now I'm gonna mount the clecos top and bottom, and then I can take the piece out and final trim it. It sets really nice and flat. I'm happy. We haven't up drilled yet, but I can tell just by putting those in that, of course, here it moves, and here it moves, even though it's not all clecled in. I could do that a little bit, but this is strong, much stronger than I thought it was going to be. So if you're doing this, you could probably do the same amount here like this, 1, 2, 3, 4 in there, instead of, what do I got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, you could go 2 less with a wider gap. Then if you had any issues too, you could put a 1 in between it in the future. I kind of took that option away from myself, now that I think about it. Well, that's why we do these videos, so that you can see the decisions that we're making, how they're good or bad, or somewhere in between. That one's an in between. Well, all I got to do is up drill. That's it. Call it the dog bone. Why not? That's the sleeve, and it's really good. I like the support around each side. I'm happy. This side's a little different. I gotta clean that up. Anyway, that'll do it. That'll give me, as you can see, that'll give me a lot of room here to drill this, to work in this area, to fit everything and get everything happy. Plus, this will be all riveted up, not clecoed. It'll be ready to rock and roll. I like that idea. And then now we'll start building the rest of this corner. Hey, sorry this one went a little bit long, but I didn't want to make 2 really short ones, and it was a lot of good stuff, so I wanted good record of what I did. So if you made it to the end, subscribe and like if you did. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll use that LaZer everywhere we can, because I just love that tool. So, hey, we'll see you in the next one. Hey, I'm sorry that one went a little bit long. There it goes. Every time.